The Laddies by the Banks of Nith, which is an election song of Burns, November or December of 1789, during the Dumfries election, in support of James Johnstone of Westerhall, who would lose to Patrick Miller. Whistle Burke is Alexander Burt Whistle, Provost of Kirkcudbright, and Robert Maxwell was Provost of Lochmaven. So we have two versions of this. One is the election ballad, and the other, what's called the Rosebery manuscript. Here's what James Kinsley writes of it in 1968. It is probable that the Rosebery manuscript is the earlier version of the song. It is merely a squib on Queensberry, but the text I preferred goes further and supports Westerhall. Well, the text he has preferred is the inferior text, which is often the case with Burns's editors. Unfortunately, the older one is a very unified song, and I'm going to do a switch up and feature it first. It's not really about the election, it's about the Duke of Queensberry, who was a very rich man, and he was supporting Patrick Miller in this election, whom Burns did not like. But he really, in this song, he sets the scene, and he says the eagle's dead, which would mean the previous duke, and in his stead we've gotten a hoodie-craw man, a hooded crow, a vulture. The turncoat duke his king forsook when his back was at the wall-man. The rattan, the rat, ran with all his clan for fear the house should fall, man. He did, so, the Duke of Queensberry, whose name was William Douglas, was a gentleman of the bedchamber for King George III, which perhaps he meant the privilege. Many had the privilege of wiping his ass. My mother informed us of such things occasionally through our childhoods, the little nuggets of history. Okay, so the lad's about the Banks of Nith, which was where Burns lived. They trust his grace, the Duke for all men, but he'll sair them as he sair't his king. He'll serve them as he served his king, turn tail and run away. King George had a long bout of insanity, but lasted about a year and a half, and during that period, due to his behavior toward the king, Queensberry was relieved of his position, and he actually fled the country for a while. So Burns was generally not fond of the Hanover line, but in this case it does indicate a kind of loyalty. So I'll do this one first. Now, the one people know, we know what tune he said. In this one, it's not I believe he wrote this to the tune Gillicranki, which he used often, and this repeated man, man is a standard feature of lyrics that go to that melody. So I'm making a presumption that this was written to Gillicranki, and then I'll sing you the other one, which is written to Up and Water the Ma Willie. So here we go. As I come down the banks o' Nith, and by Glenriddell's haw, man, there I heard a piper play, turncoat Whigs a war, man. Drumlanrig's towers, a tent the powers that kept the lands in awe, man. The eagle's deed, and in his steed we've gotten a hoodie-craw, man. A turncoat duke his king forsook when his back was at the wall, man. The rattan ran way o' his clan for fear the hoose should fall, man. A lads about the Banks o' Nith, they trust his grace for all, man, but he'll sair them as he sair't his king, turn tail and rin a woman. So, here's the other one. Laddies by the banks of Nith. The reason I don't think this is well written, this begins, the laddies by the banks of Nith would trust his grace we are, Jamie, but he'll say them as he sailed the king turn tail and rin a wa, Jamie. I think he's, Kinsley said he thought the one I just sang you was the earlier version. Burns's earlier drafts generally are more unified and better written than his revisions. And in this case, he seems to have plundered it. Plundered the song to make a new one for the election, which is fine. But it's that one is beautifully set up. I mean, it starts with the banks of Nith. It returns to the banks of Nith. It introduces the character he's talking about, and this one just says they would trust his grace we are, man. We don't even know really who he's talking about unless we happen to live there and be local. I'll play it for you. Up in War the Moor. War is to worse, it's to beat them. Sair't, of course, serve the king. Calhoun as a young man. Tents the kye, tends the cows. So here we go. The laddies by the banks of Nith, what trust his grace we are, Jamie. But to sair them as he said, the king turned tail and rin a war. Jamie up and war them all, Jamie up and war them all. Johnstones say the guiding note, ye turncoat Whigs a war. But he stood his country's friend, or keyed her face a claw, Jamie. Our free poor man, a blessing one, that day the Duke ne'er saw. Jamie up and war them all, Jamie up and war them all. The Johnstones say the guiding oat, ye turncoat Whigs a war. But woe is he, his country's boast, like him there is no twa, Jamie. There's no a carl and tents the kye, but kens a wester haw. Jamie up and war them all, Jamie up and war them all. The Johnstones aim the guiding note, ye turncoat Whigs a war. In the work there's whistle bark, long may his whistle blow, Jamie, and Maxwell through Stirling blue, and we'll be Johnstones all. Jamie up and war them all, Jamie up and war them all. The Johnstones say the guiding note, ye turncoat Whigs a war. Well, that's it. 2 versions. As I come by the banks of Nith, the laddies by the banks of Nith. Please subscribe and let me know what you think. Maybe you prefer the second version. It's certainly a stirring melody. And there'll be a couple later songs to that melody. Burns used Gillicranki 6 or 7 times. Love the tune. We good a reason. So, that first tune is Up in War them All, Willie, is from Robert Bremner's collection of Scots reels or country dances of 1757. James Oswald printed the same setting of the tune. And Gillicranki's from William McGibbon's collection of Scots tunes.